Maybe it says we're live.
It lies.
Ah, okay. Anyway,
Hello,
we're
all.
here. And let me see if I can fix the camera. It's been that kind of morning.
Oh, you have no idea.
Oh, and thank you to John Van Stry.
Special quality.
Yeah, camera or microphone.
That we have no idea how to hook up.
Yeah.
So next time we may have some really good audio, or there may be this buried in a wall somewhere.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna work with it. So we will have another presence momentarily,
Yes, we have a guest.
and the plushy Wendell finally showed up.
Boon.
In a gee, this is surprising note. It appears that the demon rats in New York are going to let Cuomo walk on everything.
This is not a surprise.
Yeah, this is not a surprise, but still, I mean, come on. They've got him 14 ways to Sunday on the sexual allegations and the nursing homes.
I want to see him go down for the nursing home round.
They're going to let him walk
I
on
know.
that too.
I know.
The only prayer is going to be federal charges, which
It's not going to happen.
now,
No, the number of little folks that man killed is staggering.
Yeah.
And he needs to be held accountable.
yeah, there's accountability, and then there's accountability, and then there's taking the son of a bitch out and hanging him
Well, there's
from the nearest lamp post. And welcome to our guest today, Miss Rita.
Hi.
As you can tell, she's shy and retiring. Not.
She didn't want this to be public knowledge, but she's published her first short yesterday, and we'll be reading it on today's podcast.
She's holding out on us again. All to you.
Oh, I'm supposed to read it right now?
If you would like to.
If you want to, or we can just talk. Either way is good.
Talk about the framing for the story first.
The framing?
Yeah, what it's part of, your bigger world.
Well, it's going to be kind of a fairy tale told by the Raven in my bigger story.
You want to go back a little further back on the details here.
How far back?
However far you want to go. Put it that way.
Well, I'm being goaded mercilessly. So
Us? Would we do that? You?
he
No,
does.
I'm glad I'm not included in that.
Mm. Well, it's just a little. I'm also going to be doing he's going to tell a series of fairy tales.
Okay, since somebody's shy and tired, she's writing a novel set in East Texas in the 50s with a little witch. And the witch has a raven familiar. And throughout the course of the novel, the raven will be telling little fairy tales to ravenlets, and this is one of them.
Okay.
Here we go.
Can you hear me all right?
Can everybody hear her? It's still your fault, Jim.
It's always my fault.
Everybody hear her?
Hello, testing. Yes, okay.
We're good.
Okay. The seashell. Once upon a time in an ancient city by the sea, a man who loved to bake wonderful things opened a shop to sell his delights. The city clung to the hills, a vast collection of plaster houses in pinks, reds, golds, and whites, a magical place of warmth and beauty. Luca opened his bakery in Naples at the center of a spiral neighborhood called La Conchiglia, which means seashell. Luca's wife, Emilia, disapproved of his plan to open a shop at the inner curl of this strange Conchiglia. She told him no one would be able to find the shop and they would be ruined. She said the site was cursed and that everyone knew that the previous two restaurants on the site had failed because it was too difficult to find and people got lost on the way to and or from the site. On the other hand, Luca's son, Marco, thought the shop was the perfect place. He promised to help his father after school, and together they would build an important business that would nourish and sustain the people of Napoli. Luca followed his heart and used his life savings to purchase the tiny shop with the apartment upstairs. It will be good, I promise, he said to Emilia. Emilia was not confident, but helped her husband and son to clean the new shop and apartment. She would try to be helpful, even though she was frightened of what the future would hold for her family. Every morning and night she went to church and prayed to the Holy Mother to bless her family and to spare them the consequences of their foolishness. Once the bakery was clean, Luca set to work preparing. For 2 weeks he planned his recipes and the forms his breads would take. He was a slow writer, but he carefully wrote his plan for a menu and supplies. He spoke to the neighbors. Many wished him luck, but told him the previous owners had said it was cursed and that the shop would never be a success. Something was wrong there, they said, but they also said they would buy his bread. They said it would be nice to have fresh bread without having to walk the long, wending way out of the curl of the Concilia to the markets beyond the neighborhood. Luca looked around his kitchen, his little kingdom. All his wares were used. They were all he could afford, but they were clean and sturdy, and everyone knows that empires may be built on fastidious sturdiness. Newness was not so important. Naples itself had stood for more than 2,000 years, as cities and other places rose and fell. Luca looked out the front of his shop and could see through a sliver of gaps in the buildings to the glimmering sea beyond the city. Sunlight played upon gentle waters and sang to him a song of hope and possibility. Life was beautiful in that moment. From the first instant his fingers plunged into a bowl of proven dough in that kitchen, his hands worked wonders. Everyone said that there is nothing new under the sun and that no one could find a new way to make bread, but Luca did not listen to that tittering. He felt the warmth and stretch of the dough and let the living army of yeast inform him. Without thinking what he was doing, his hands and the dough performed a dance, and before he realized it, he was gazing down at a pan of an entirely new form of bread, 3 rows of perfect seashell-shaped rolls. Luca knew this roll must be named for the neighborhood. He hoped the neighbors would not be angry. After all, they might not buy his rolls because they were angry about the appropriation of the neighborhood name. They might be fearful that a failure of his bakery would be a portent of ill for the neighborhood. So he decided to ask the dough. "What do you call yourselves, little rolls? I think you are conciliae, but I do not know what the neighbors will say." Billions of little bacteria bloomed their yeasty breath in his nose, mouth, and ears, and their effervescent voices rang a chorus of "Conciliae, conciliae, we are conciliae," they squealed. That was settled. How could he deny what the bread told him? He must not, although he harbored a tiny voice of anxiety in the back of his mind, one that told him not to be confident. He need not have worried, though. From the heart of the spiral neighborhood arose such a tantalizing aroma that people would walk for miles back and forth, trying to find its source. The bread would finish its final proof just before daylight. The rising sun warmed the golden plaster walls of the neighborhood, and the neighborhood stirred to life as never before when the dainty curls of bread fragrance came wafting through the air. When the first pan of rolls was pulled from the dome of the large clay oven, a line of neighbors had already formed, eager to be the first to try. All their doubts melted away. They were drawn to the bakery as if by magic. Men and women feigned patience as they scolded their anxious children, who fairly drooled in the streets. In truth, the men and women only barely contained their own instincts to drool. Some wept when they tasted the bread, some laughed, but all were flooded with pleasure. Luca was an amazing baker. People who tried his breads and pastries could not get enough. In fact, travelers who wandered into the shop for treats would go home to faraway lands, haunted by the memory of delicacies that would never be experienced again in their lifetimes. In his tiny bakery, Luca hit upon the perfect combination of form and technique. Under his careful hands, molecules of yeast would align with remarkable precision, yielding succulent breads of tremendous tenderness. Before school, Marco would stand at the door, selling loaves and rolls from huge baskets arrayed on the counter. Emilia was still worried, but smiled as she helped hand the baked goods to the waiting customers. After one year, She realized that she had been too hasty to judge. I was wrong to doubt you, my Luca. I must apologize. Luca was relieved that Emilia had come to believe in his vision for the bakery. He knew that the steady parade of customers had convinced her. In fact, she never once scolded him when, having sold all the shop's stock, he took the loaf of bread reserved for their own evening table and gave that bread to poor children in the street. She knew to be thankful, and she continued to pray to the Holy Mother every morning and evening. From the first time the chorus of Conciliae sang to Luca, they began to inhabit his dreams. He became adept at deciphering the squealing of their tiny, high-pitched voices. At times, they told him to order special tessuto with gold ornament in which to wrap his holiday breads. Quickly, these special dainties were the most sought-after baked goods in the whole of the city for gourmand gifts. Luca never doubted the wisdom of the chorus, and always profited mightily when he did their bidding. Life took on a feeling of sameness, and while this is not a bad thing, the spark of joy in making his bread seemed to dim for Luca. After a few years of prosperity, Luca felt he should do something to expand his repertoire. He made extra dough daily to experiment with new flavors. He decided to try to make a bread with the luscious vongole verace clams, which are a longtime favorite in the city. However, from the first moment he mixed the meats into the dough, things began to go wrong for his bakes. He tried adding the clams at different times in the process, and nothing worked. Further, the conciliae stopped speaking to him entirely. His regular bread even suffered. His customers became less regular, and for the first time, bread would be left over at the end of the day. He wondered what he had done wrong, and he asked the bread, but it did not respond. No chorus greeted him in the morning as he began mixing the dough. He realized that the clams had something to do with the change in the bread. He had upset some delicate balance in the bakery and was desperate to return things to their previous state. He stopped making the clam bread, but his regular bread did not recover to its previous glory. My dear, sweet Conciliae, please tell me what is wrong. Come back to me. We can be as we were before. I implore you. But the yeasty little darlings kept their own counsel and did not speak to Luca or Marco or Emilia. Luca's shop had gone from a place of enchanting Panera to just another bakery, unremarkable and not worth the trouble of navigating a labyrinth. Emilia was concerned for Luca. He was depressed. She kept to her habit of prayer in mornings and nights, thankful for their former prosperity and humbly asking that her husband's joy be restored. Her heart ached for her husband's sad state. He continued to work with great devotion. Even though his bread was not the same magical food that had been so popular, he still took great joy in baking it. He always found poor people to share the extra bread with, so that none should go to waste. Sometimes Emilia could see in the eyes of the poor that they were less than thrilled with the bread they'd been offered. She hoped that Luca had not noticed. Sometimes when the bakery was too quiet in the day, he would look across the stacks of unclaimed loaves and down through the gap in the buildings to the sea, but the water did not sparkle like diamonds to him. It appeared flat and wet, not so lovely. He felt sad and wondered where the dancing light had gone. Why did everything change? Nothing made sense to him. Still, he made his bread and was grateful for whatever custom came to his shop. He tried to be kind and considerate in all things. He felt in his heart that things would put themselves aright if he remained faithful to his tasks. One night, Luca was adrift on a sea of dreams when first a dozen, then 100, then billions of singing little bubbles appeared on its surface, buoying him up. Signor Luca, you must meet our friend. Luca looked around. The little floating conciliae were stretched as far as he could see, thick on the surface of the water. A little mound of them formed and rose and lifted in the most peculiar way, like a great yawning dome. Masses of conciliae slid from the top of the dome into the water, and Luca found himself looking into the startling mouth of a giant oyster. Glub, glub, it said. What? I cannot understand you. Luca tried to remain calm. The conciliae had never steered him wrong, but this oyster was, well, frightening. Glub, 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 it sputtered and spat. It began to cough until out of its maw popped a big, lumpy pearl, pinkish and cast. Ah, there it goes. I said you must do a bread with mollusco. I can't. I tried clams already, and that's what ruined everything. Glub, glub, Pearl, sputter. You can do clams, but you have to do them the right way. They are alive. If you want them to bring joy to the tongue, you must bring joy to them first. Glub, 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 yellow. The garbled sounds were puzzling, truly. A pair of knobby gray pearls sprang from the giant oyster, landing on Luca's leg. He considered the absurdity of this moment and doubted his senses. The oyster lid closed and spoke no further. The chorus of conciliae sang, "Make them happy! Listen to him!" I don't know how to make clams happy. I would want them to be happy, of course. The next thing he knew, he was back in his bed, awake early as usual. He wondered about the dream. He felt sad and frustrated. Would he ever understand? How could anyone make a clam happy? At least he heard the singing of the yeasty little shells again, but this was just a memory, surely. Would they ever sing to him again? For several nights he went to bed early in hopes of seeing the oyster again, to no avail. On the fourth night he was afloat again on the sea, surrounded by the conciliae from his kitchen, singing emphatically, "Happy clams, happy clams, happy!" as the great oyster arose again from the surface of the water. "I hear you. I want to make the clams happy, but I do not know how. How can I make them happy? How can I invite the conciliae back to my kitchen, my little friends? They are the heart and soul of my bread." Glub, glub, a white pearl, perfectly round, struck his chest and rolled onto his stomach. "I told you, limoncello, make them happy and they will make you happy." When Luca awoke, he remembered the dream, but was confused. It did not make sense to him, and it was only a dream, not something that could happen. Later that morning he pulled the last batch of the bread from the oven when Emilia came into the kitchen. "Luca, can you explain this to me?" she said as she held her hand toward him. In her hand were the pearls he'd seen the great oyster spit, and he remembered what the oyster said. "These were under your pillow." She looked confused. He grabbed Emilia and kissed her. "I love you, Emilia. You are perfect. I have to go." He ran through the street, around the gentle curve of the buildings that followed the inner form of a seashell. When the when the buildings opened up into a broad square, he ran across the traffic, past a busy cafe, and into a bottle shop, where he obtained several bottles of limoncello. He then hurried to the fish market by the water, hoping it was not too late. One vendor remained, but they were putting up their tables and bins. "Have you any clams left?" Luca hoped he did not seem insane. "I have some, not many. They may be sad this late." Luca thrust a handful of lire at the vendor. "It's okay. I can make them happy." The man laughed and handed the mesh sack of clams to Luca, who went running back to La Concilia. Back in his own house that evening, he sent Emilia to bed and said not to wait up for him, that he had a new recipe to try. He poured the clams into a large ceramic bowl. They sat, seemingly lifeless, half covered in salty water. He opened a bottle of tart limoncello and put it to his lips, taking a long drink. He looked at the clams as he began to mix the first batch of dough for the following day. It began faintly at first, the little voice did. Luca thought he imagined it, in truth. But soon another joined, and he heard a little choir of yeastlings calling to him as in the old days, "Make them happy." This was preposterous, wasn't it? How could clams be made happy by Luca drinking limoncello? That was when he understood. He pulled the cork from the bottle, drank another great draught, and then dumped the remainder of the bottle into the clam water. To his amazement, several of the clams looked like they were yawning. They opened their shells so wide. He sat transfixed. The less outgoing clams just opened slightly, letting the boozy brine flow into their shells. Luca doubted his senses, but was certain he saw a little clam hiccup. Can this be possible? He noticed the familiar, comforting smells as the dough rose in the bowl under a cloth. The yeast began to sing again, and order was restored to his bakery. The clams were happy, in a euphoric state. They could now be incorporated into the bread. The next morning, the neighborhood awakened to the most divine scent of bread they'd ever experienced, loaves of clam bread infused with limoncello. Before the first loaves came from the oven, the line formed outside of the bakery door. However, Luca felt like something foul had taken residence in his head, so bad was his hangover. He had dark circles under his eyes, and he smelled like a goat, but he was well and truly happy for the first time in months. The neighborhood rejoiced that Luca's bread was wonderful again. Emilia remained faithful in prayers and never forgot that she must remain faithful through good times and bad. Marco grew up to be a fine baker himself. Marco would ultimately learn about his adventures with the yeast sprites, but he doubted the story, even though his father had never liked him. Eventually, the conchiglie would reveal themselves to Marco, and he vowed to not doubt his father's word again. Luca lived to be very old and survived Emilia by 2 years. When he died, Marco and his wife faced the task of resolving his. Inside his mother's jewelry box, he found a pink pearl, 2 gray pearls, and a large round white pearl, along with a letter from Luca. My dear Marco, when you read this letter, be gone. Always feed the yeast sprites and remember that they will tell you what is best. For the bread, you must keep the clams happy. I was told in a dream that limoncello is the way to make them happy. I was told this by a giant oyster who gave me these pearls. Always remember that you too must be as happy as a clam. You do not need limoncello to do this, although it might help sometimes. Remember that to be content with your life is a choice. Choose happiness and joy, and give happiness and joy when you can. This was the key to my happy life with your mother, and I wish the same for you. What a proud father you have made me. With greatest love, Papa. Marco's wife asked him why he was crying, what the letter said. It was from my papa. He said I should be as happy as a clam, that I should always make others happy when I can do so. And that is the origin of the saying, to be as happy as a clam. Clams are not emotional one way or another in their natural state, but they are subject to the introduction of happiness. Sometimes pearls of wisdom don't take a recognizable form, so pay attention. Choose happiness.
Very nice.
Very good, baby. And that's her first short story, currently available on Amazon for 99 cents. You should check it out.
I made a. Can you read that? Can you hold it up?
Yeah. I'd like to see it from there.
See, I did. Anyway.
So
I would only take issue with limoncello.
Well, it was a very dry one. It wouldn't be very sweet.
No, limoncello, for those that don't know, is the worst grappa they can't sell anywhere else, that they then take and dump lemons into and let it continue to ferment. And then they sell it. And you do not want a limoncello hangover, trust me.
It's a bastard behind the eyes.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
Now, from the land of the Amalfi Coast, where you get the real great limoncello, not in the right places.
Sicily.
Yeah, Sicily was your problem. So, Amalfi Coast limoncello is the best on the planet.
Also, I did not drink but one shot of it. I was smart.
Yeah.
However, the couple that drank a half a bottle apiece
Easily. Mm-hmm.
did not make the
dessert
flight.
drink. You're supposed to have it after dinner.
They did not make the flight the next day.
Yeah, no kidding. So we're doing it wrong.
So
That's a very good story. Thank you.
Yes.
for
Thank
sharing
you.
that.
excellent
Thank you.
story. So she's the newest author in a little bunch, and she writes really good stuff. She's
Despite what you've heard today.
That was good.
that was excellent.
I'm not gonna spoil. Here's your little happy plan.
She will have at least one story in the Malta anthology. I think is involving goats.
Well, there are goats in it. I wanted the whole story to be a malapropism where I misunderstood. Oh, goats, ghosts, ghosts. But
That could be played with.
yeah. Well, there are definitely goats in the story.
And there are goats on Malta.
Yes, sir. A very, very unique breed.
Yeah.
They have special, and they also have labdanum, which is a labdanum is it's rock rose. It's a type of a really rugged plant. We have it here. It's
Yeah.
the rock rose in front of my house, but um, it's used as an accord in a lot of fragrances, and the ancient Egyptians used the labdanum for the for fragrant oil for the chin beards of the pharaohs.
Mm.
They would collect it by going out. They're these rugged plants. They're very sage-like. They're kind of woody, and they would take flails made of, or kind of mops made of goat hair, which hair absorbs oil. So they would
Right.
take it and they would flog the plants, which sounds really mean, or therapeutic, or both, and they would flog the plants to extract the oils, and it's still done that way. And they extract the oils, and then they get the oils from the hair. With the pharaohs, they would weave the chin beard, and I don't know how they glued that on, but it must have been something impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they glued it on with.
The name of Malta comes from Greek Roman melite, which is honey, and the Maltese honey from the rock rose was very unique in the Mediterranean. So
That makes sense.
Yeah, there are a lot of strange things that came out of the Mediterranean.
not least of which the people.
Yeah, well, but the purple dye.
Oh, from the seashells.
Yeah, from the seashells.
Concini!
Yes.
Yeah, that was the leftovers of the drunk clams. Trust me. But that was one of the things. That was the reason that the color purple was considered a royal color,
Mhm.
because it was so hard to extract it, and it could only be extracted certain times of the year.
Mhm.
Would they just crush up the shells? How did they do it?
I'm not sure.
It was crushing the shells, and there's a whole thing on that. You can go look it up. There's a whole history to it,
Wow.
and the processing and everything else. And going back to Roman time, it's like the fish oil,
Mm.
the original nut bomb.
I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Yeah.
Basically, Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah.
Um,
But that was a prime seasoning for all of the Roman legions.
Roman fish sauce, maybe. I know you've seen it. Oh, what the heck? Garum.
Garum, yeah,
Garum.
Oh, like garam masala?
Garum
No.
sauce.
garum sauce.
I know, but I was asking if it's related.
No,
No, it's the original Roman fish sauce. We're not sure. We think it was somewhat related to Worcestershire sauce,
Yeah.
which is also a fish-based sauce.
Yeah.
And if anybody is fond of Worcestershire but doesn't like fish, you might want to turn off your TV now. Worcestershire sauce starts with herring. They've been fermenting for about 3 months.
And an old boot.
yep. Yeah, Bill, it was. That's right. It was from the spiral shells. And oh God, I hate it when I lose track of stuff. Anyway, you can go look it up. There's a whole history of that.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, fermented fish sauce has been around for a long time, and the Icelandics still produce it.
Well, much like fried dough and swords, every culture appears to have done a fermented fish sauce at one time or other.
Yeah. What I'd like to figure out is where all the drinks came from, because
That was
just
a
about
hard left turn.
well, but if you think about it,
Oh,
just
gotcha.
about every culture has dragons in their culture somewhere.
That's-
I didn't hear that.
I didn't hear.
She said Jordan Peterson has an extended discussion
Oh.
about that.
Oh. See, there's somebody at the table that can hear for a change. Usually we're something like, what did they say? I don't know. Yeah, I didn't hear it. Yeah.
Normally, Rita's a little more chatty than this. I think she's a little camera shy.
Oh, anyway,
For those of you who don't know, Rita is currently working on her master's in English.
Mm.
You want to tell the happy folks about that?
I'm finishing. I submitted my thesis to my advisor last month. It's
yay.
a creative thesis, so it's a novella length fiction. And I'm hoping to publish that in March as a novel, full length. So it'll be significantly longer than that. But I'm waiting for word back from him. I expect to do a few serious power edits on that and getting it into better shape. And then I will be hopefully getting the finished work to my advisory committee on the 1st and graduating in May. That's the plan. So, no pressure, just a couple of things.
Yeah,
So,
just minor life decisions. Yeah.
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 It's just been a long time coming.
Yes.
Well, congratulations to you for sticking with it and doing
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it.
it. Is that what you called some of it?
And hopefully enough people will buy her book. She can pay for her thesis.
They can pay for the semester. Yeah, goals.
Oh, Josh, live coach whip, the cat stashed under their bed.
Whip snake.
Yeah. Welcome to New Mexico.
Is it non-venomous?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a little black snake.
Yeah.
Then
But-
don't hurt it. Just rustle
Well,
it
the
out.
cats had already
Uh-oh.
had their way with it apparently, but it was apparently live. Yes, sure, Sanford.
Rita's a rider, all shy. Meh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, RK, y'all tend to get the education. We don't.
Hmm.
We get the education by the school of hard knocks. I just wish they'd quit hitting so damn hard.
I'm kidding. There was two.
Oh, I think Jonah's going to be the next guest after that comment.
What you say?
The purple dye. There's a rant from a costume historian,
Yeah.
and we let her get away without coming on.
I'm busy.
No, not you, the other one that left today.
Yeah, I was going to snag her, but apparently she smart cut out. There was the last two episodes. I've had something that I was going to rant about, and I remember it and then forget it for the episode. And I remembered it this morning, and I've forgotten it again. I don't think it's germane historically anymore. I think that was past.
Yeah, that's a true statement, RK. It does not help with commas and past participles.
No.
Speaking of which, RimWorld 4 is getting ready to go to the editor, and so hopefully I will have that out about 2 weeks from now.
Oh, that's it. Something else. In addition to Rita's short story out, the Tales on a Separate Table number 2 that I'm not in is live and doing rather well. It's 3,000 in Amazon Books and top 10 in anthologies. So thank y'all on behalf of everybody else.
Yeah. And we're also #1 in new releases and short fiction anthologies. So yes, definitely thanks to everybody for that.
And there was another book out. There's Rita's and Tales, and there's another one. I can't remember what it is. I should start taking notes before.
Yeah, that's been suggested before and again.
Anything to add?
I was just gonna say you can't find good help these days.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
The Malta stories though, there's no requirement for it to be anything but set on Malta.
Yep.
Entertaining.
Okay.
The only I went live with the request for short stories for Malta Anthology, and the number one question I get is, does it have to be about ghosts? No, the Ghosts of Malta is only the title, the working title for now. The only thing that we're requiring out of any stories, they be entertaining. Any genre is good as long as it's an entertaining story. We don't want message fiction unless the message is entertaining. It has to just involve the Maltese archipelago and be entertaining. It can be anything else.
Happy clams.
Happy clams, as long as they're Maltese clams, we're good.
Can't Go Home Again. Yes, that is still hanging in there pretty well.
Oh, yes.
We've gotten over the 50 review hump, so it's starting to get put out there a little bit by
I
Amazon.
think we're at 53 now. something like that. We've been at 53 for ages.
Yeah.
Uh,
But thank you to the folks that have given us honest reviews on that. And yes, it's a hard book to read.
no kidding. It's a
Uh,
hard book to write.
yeah. But
Um,
if it helps one person, I think it's worth it.
if you again, still, if y'all keep flogging that, we'd appreciate it. Because not so much for the money, although I won't lie, money's nice. It's just we wrote it to help people, and if they don't read it, they don't get help.
Yeah.
Um, they need to know about it before they can read it.
Yeah, the Rat Tail Saga is coming.
That's on Cedar, not me. Um,
Oh, Sanford, stop it.
the puns are flying thick and fast. After the Rattle Saga, the lizard book will be next, but again, that's on Cedar.
Notice how he's shifting the blame here.
Oh heck yes, with our quickness.
Delegate.
Delegate. We're hoping the closing date for the Ghosts of Malta will be early March, and we've got to have a paper copy in hand by Tolcon because somebody mentioned it to David Weber, who wants a hard copy of it. So I've been suckered into delivering a hard copy to David Weber at Tolcon.
That'll also be where the book is announced formally.
We're also going to have, courtesy of her and her back there, the big ass book launch party starting at Tolcon.
We have a blanket for you.
We have the blanket fort, she said.
Yes.
Yes, the lizards will include the major.
What?
You do not have to have a big ass to attend. It's not required.
The library anthology will be discussed
Holy crap! I forgot about that.
at the upcoming meeting this month with the library writing group. Yes, that is definitely going to happen. And we are going to do it as a benefit to the library. So if you want to submit anything, that would be greatly appreciated. But you're not going to make anything off of it because all the money is going to go to the library.
Right.
We just haven't told the library that yet.
Surprise. It's a small town library, and they need all the help they can get. I'm going to write one for it. I'm going to talk somebody else in this table into writing one for it, and Jim's going to write one.
Yeah. I'm already 6,000 words in.
Of course you are.
Trying to figure out how to truncate it into 8,000. Yeah, David. Dave Weaver's going to submit 160,000 word short story.
And I won't turn it down. Trust me.
We have the most fabulous library. It's in this old arts and crafts house. It's a small mansion, really, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And from the around the turn of the century, and it's got a green tile roof, kind of Mediterranean looking that way. It's beautiful, but it's got a ballroom upstairs, and the legend is that Quanah Parker rode his horse up the stairs to a party one time.
And that would not surprise me.
Yeah.
And
It's one of the Burnett's house.
Yeah.
Burke
Yeah.
or one of the Burnett's.
Tom
from-
Burnett.
Tom Burnett from the 4-6 Ranch.
Yeah. Sadly, the 4-6 is still for sale.
that's too bad.
Yeah.
So this is the first sale from the family.
Yeah.
I mean,
far
the
as I know.
family's held on to it all this time.
Yeah.
So it's ironic for the Wagner and the Burnett ranches to sell in such close, time
Yeah.
frame as
Yeah.
each other after all those years. Burke and J.T. Wagner were great friends, and they were ranchers at the same time, and they're pioneers out here. And anyway,
Those are some of the last of the big family ranches too.
The only one left now is
King Ranch.
King Ranch.
The big ass book launch, BABL, is probably going to be a tradition anywhere where the North Texas troublemakers, any con the North Texas troublemakers go to, will probably have a big ass book launch.
Just call it Babel and be done with it. That's what it's going to be anyway. RK, we are going to discuss that at the meeting this month. So I will be putting something out on that. I'm guessing April, May timeframe for that. We'll talk about it.
Well, remembering that you've got to clean the decks from the Malta anthology first before we queue up the next one.
You're working on the Malta one. I'm gonna help with the library.
Okay.
Now, RK, we're looking at getting a logo designed for us.
We are?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
It's in process.
You got to keep up with these things. Yeah, another spammer. We must be doing something right when we're getting spammed.
Boy, no kidding.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the library here is haunted.
This is not a surprise. Yeah. Oh, there's a carriage house. There's a carriage house attached to the library up here, and they are turning the carriage house into an actual bookstore. So you'll have the library, and then out back where the carriage house is, they're actually going to be selling books.
No, that's the little house.
Little house? That's not the carriage house?
No.
Oh, I thought that was a carriage house.
No.
Okay.
Carriage house is the one over the garage.
There's a little outbuilding
Yeah.
that will be a bookstore.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. They told me who lived there. It was somebody that worked on the property, and I can't remember who it was now.
So, spammer's been hitting Cedars. Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, all the libraries need to be haunted. Yeah. Yeah, I've got an interesting story rattling around in my head for that one.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Anyway, so Rita's first short story is out. You need to go tag it so that she will be motivated to write more, because she needs to write more.
Yeah. Every little bit helps, folks. You know, we are starving artists in more ways than one.
Starving artists and students.
Yeah. And now is probably the best time to be a writer.
No kidding.
Because with Amazon, you can publish. You can get covers done fairly inexpensively. You can make things happen. Going to a traditional publisher would never make it through the door. And if Randy Pinkham gets away with what they want, that's going to narrow the portal even more. So if you want to write, sit down and write. You know, as Larry says, you know, if you're going to be serious about it, treat it as a job. Write every day. Doesn't have to be much, but write something every day.
Oh, that was something else. A whole bunch of big name authors hauled off and sued some pirates and won a court case this week or last week. And the groundwork for that was laid by very own John Van Stry, who's getting absolutely no recognition for laying the groundwork and the precedent for all these big name authors and Authors Guild to sue these idiot pirates.
Yeah.
If y'all see anything about, and not to take away from John Grisham and the other multimillionaire authors who decided to jump on the suing pirates bandwagon, not taking anything away from them. They're doing good. They're doing good work. But if you see anything where they're talking about the Authors Guild and all these big name authors and yay, go them for suing the pirates, you might mention that John Van Stry got that started.
Yeah. VSA Martini Cadet, rechambered from 318 greener to 3220.
Standard cowboy loads, please.
Yes.
I would go with hot cast lead rounds and standard. Lube the hell out of them with standard cowboy, standard pressure.
Yeah, good luck finding wheel weights anymore. Sad. They have disappeared. You can't find them. That was the best lead for making rounds.
Oh, I know. I know.
You could probably find a bunch if you go with the metal
It's
detector.
down
and,
the side of the highway.
well, I was gonna say, actually, like the edge of fishing holes and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true.
oh, that's not half bad idea.
The really good prosperous place would be that freaking stretch of Oklahoma.
If you if you find old tire stores, a lot of them along these the old abandoned business highways where the interstate has bypassed them.
Yeah.
A lot of the old tire stores, they're closed down. If you can get permission to go through there, you can find boxes of wheel weights and wheel weights
Yeah.
all over the floors.
Yeah, that's the problem. Most of them these days are zinc or steel. They're not lead anymore. Oh, yeah, you're working at that, koala. That takes a whole different
4,000 feet elevation
Yeah.
to bake.
Yeah.
Ooh.
that takes a whole different set of skills and time.
What do I have on those cards?
For one of them set of laws.
She was ready for anything. So, questions from the comments from the peanut or the chat?
Yeah, from you guys. Rita's here. Ask her questions.
Yeah. I will hide and let her answer.
I can't read them from here.
We'll read them for you.
What'd you
We're-
say, Donna?
He's running away.
Who's running away?
Yeah.
Of course I am.
They're talking. Apparently, your story got everybody talking about bread. They're
Yeah.
discussing bread in the comments.
Brett's good.
9,500 feet of elevation. Whoa. That's,
I'm not sure 9,500 feet you get boiling water anymore.
yeah, you'd have to work at it.
That's a hard place to cook.
Yeah, that's where the nerds live at 7,500 feet at Los Alamos.
Is it that high?
Yes.
I don't know why I thought it was more like 5 or 6.
No, it's on up there.
Wow.
I think Amarillo's it. Amarillo's pretty. I think Amarillo's close to. Like, I have access to some total human knowledge.
Isn't it about 1,000 higher than here?
Yeah. So 2,000.
Yeah, I think we all love bread, and especially if you're a Southerner, because you grew up with bread. And it was usually homemade. It was biscuits. It was cornbread,
Yeah, buttermilk biscuits.
buttermilk biscuits.
Amarillo, 3,671 feet.
Boy, was I wrong.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, we end up talking about food because we like to eat food. You know, we like to get paid for our books.
Midwest Chick says, Rita's story made me think about baking. I think that's pretty much everybody.
I was thinking of Italy.
Italy's a lovely place.
Yeah, it's pretty, but it's stupid.
Well, that can be said about any place.
They turned the stoplights off in Naples in 1993 because nobody was paying any attention.
That's Italy for you.
They don't pay attention to the lanes. They drive on the sidewalks. If you think I'm kidding, I'm not. I've seen it.
No, I know you're not kidding. No, I have a weakness for Mediterranean basin. I love the countries around the Mediterranean. Well, I was, again, born in Malta. I love the countries around the Mediterranean, and I have a. Oi, Jana!
What'd she say?
Naples is the New Jersey of Italy.
Yeah, and Sicily is the New York City for the mob of Italy.
Yes.
Literally.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody going to ask any questions? Is anybody listening?
Yeah.
Jana apparently likes Florence.
I love Florence.
Yeah. Florence has got two things going for it. One's the Bridge of Thieves, and the other is that's where the Last Supper is.
Oh, Michelangelo's?
Yeah.
No, it's not there.
It's not there?
No, it's outside of Florence. It's got everything else, but it doesn't have that.
Well, it's actually the actual painting is on the wall of the chapel of the prison outside of Florence.
Yeah.
And there's a door right in the middle of it.
Oi.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the last restoration destroyed it.
Yeah.
So,
Maltese dishes, fatira, pastizzi. Um, fatira is Maltese bread. That, since we're on, Rita's gone on a bread kick.
A bread excursion.
Fatira is Maltese bread, and it's fantastic. What's Rita's favorite baked good, either to make or buy?
My favorite baked good. I love a chocolate croissant with the proper French ones, with that dark chocolate that's almost bitter. I love that.
That sounds good.
Dan wants to know if there's a gluten-free version of this story.
No carbs were consumed in the listening to this tale.
Pastizzi are little hand pies. Um, close your ears, Jim. A lot of them are filled with peas.
Okay, I have to backtrack. I love for pastry. My favorite is the chocolate croissant, but my really one of my favorite things on earth is the beef curry pasty you get in England in the bakeries.
Oh yeah.
It's a really an incredible. It's got minced. It's like ground beef basically. That's very curry flavored, and even when it's cold, it's kind of it's some things are gross when they're room temperature and everything, but this is even when it's kind of claggy and all clumped together. You're kind of like, oh, so good, so good. I mean, it's like ice, but it's a good association too. I always think of it like I had a friend in Rochester in Kent in England who was a Texan who was staying there. I would go and visit and stay with her, and she'd go to work in the day, and I'd like have a train pass, and I'd go to the local bakery and get a bag of with a couple of pasties and one of those cream filled donuts that they have in England. Those things. Oh my gosh, so good. And so I get like a couple of those and get on a train, and I'd ride down to go to London or go to Canterbury, and like for £5 I've got, or no, really like £3 I've got all of my food for the day in a little bag, a little greasy bag. I'm walking around with my greasy bag because you know how I do. Anyway, it was just a great association and everything, but I love those things.
Mm-hmm.
I like
the cremas actually come from Italy. They were the ones that made them first. Yeah.
So good.
Well, the pasties, the beef curry pasties is the English version of something that the Indians thought of making.
Yeah.
Because you won't find a beef curry pasty in India anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Well, the thing about those cream donuts is that I really don't like Bavarian cream in a pastry. Actually, I don't like Bavarian cream. There's something about that is just gross to me. And as much as the funny thing is, it's kind of similar to banana pudding, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's still, ugh. But what? Why is that funny?
Look.
Well, sorry, I'm not a grown up. So.
But the funny part is the cremas, they come in a vanilla and a chocolate.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never had the chocolate.
Yeah. And they are delicious.
The pastizzis in Malta are much like what if you don't get the pea one with the smushed peas, they have a beef or a rabbit.
Yeah. The rabbit one is good.
Yeah. The rabbits, the Knights of Malta brought rabbit to Malta, and that was the protein there. Goat and rabbit was the protein there for centuries. No beef, no chickens. It was you had rabbit or goat.
Ham and cheese scones would be good too.
Ham and cheese.
Yeah.
Mm.
Smoked good as scones.
yeah, that's my kid.
Quit teasing us, John.
I know.
If you get to
Pasties and empanadas are very similar, Jason.
and pastizzis,
Yeah.
it's fried. It's a fried hand pie.
Yeah.
There's a you get to Decatur. There's a coffee shop on the square,
Yes.
and they get empanadas from an Argentinian lady, and
Who works in the place next
the
door.
workplace next door. She makes these Argentinian empanadas from a family recipe, and oh my God, they're good. But you got to show up quick
Yeah.
because as soon as she delivers a tray of empanadas, most of Decatur shows up and starts waiting in line.
Yeah, we tried to order more.
Yeah.
And they went, Yeah, you're too late. That was their exact words, literally. They laughed at us and said, "You're too late."
We went there.
Yeah.
We took Johnny Guest there, and we asked what there was to eat at the coffee shop. And they said, "Well, oh, there's empanadas. You got to try them." And empanadas are very hit and miss for me. Sometimes they're good, and sometimes they just don't. So I ordered one. It's like, holy crap, this is good.
Yeah.
I need to get about 3 more. And the lady cashier said, "Oh, honey, you're way too late."
Yeah, they and actually there's a version made in Natchitoches, Louisiana called a Natchitoches meat pie, which is actually very good. And it's similar, but it's not the curry flavor.
Mhm.
But it's a meat pie. It came from England.
Little handy, little
Yeah.
pasty.
Yeah.
I may have to make those one time. I haven't made those in years.
Sounds good.
There was something going around the internet regarding words. I posted something that said that there needs to be a toll-free line to call where you say a word that you've only seen written, you've never heard pronounced before, and the person on the other end of the line will go honey and very kindly tell you how it's actually pronounced. And Cornish pasty is one of those things. There's a difference between a pasty
And a pasty.
and a pasty, and you don't want to know.
And we just had a demonstration.
Yes. That's when I first got here. I still had my accent, and I was in school. I walked into the local apothecary drugstore and asked for a box of rubbers because a rubber where I was from was an eraser, and I needed some erasers, so I asked for a box of rubbers, and that was not. That was not.
Oh
was
yeah,
bad.
samosas are excellent too. They're mainly vegetable.
Oh, samosas.
I do love samosas.
Yeah,
They have good samosas at that place in Lawton we went to last week.
and
Oh
you're
my God,
teasing
it's
us
so
again.
good.
Incredible samosas. I have a menu out in the car.
Rita and I were out this morning, and I was digging through the floorboard, came up with a menu from an Indian place in Lawton, Oklahoma that she and Jonna went to, and immediately got hungry.
Pork loin and biscuit dough, that'll work, Jim. Yeah, we're out of drug deal tamales for a while up here.
Yeah, drug deal tamales are done for the season.
Yep. Josh is laughing at you when you still had the accent. When it comes out, it's interesting.
I can always tell when he's really tired.
Yeah.
That was the drugstore and I, not apothecary, the drugstore and I had a long, somewhat contentious relationship. Because I was used to the apothecaries in Nigeria where
Yeah.
you walked in, if you slide money across the counter, they give you what you wanted.
Yeah.
And I walked into the one in Electra, by God, Texas, and asked for 8 ounces of iodine crystals, and it said, "Why?" And I got insulted because I asked for them. How dare the cheek? And woo, I got to ride back to the house.
What were you going to do with iodine crystals?
Make things go boom.
Actually, I was going to impress some people with a smoke cloud.
Yeah.
Because iodine and turpentine.
Yeah.
Will make a very nice little smoke cloud. Also, will drive turpentine or iodine into your. If you have an injury, in Africa, you pack the injury with iodine crystals, and then you pour turpentine. Africa, you pack the injury with iodine crystals, and then you pour turpentine over it, and the reaction that made the smoke cloud would drive the iodine into the wound.
Yeah.
Hurt like hell, but you didn't get infections. Well, I was going to impress. I was in school. I was going to impress some people with, "Hey, I can make smoke."
Yeah.
I went down. I need 8 ounces of iodine crystals. Why? None of your business.
Yeah.
Woo!
And you say the Chris is the more aggressive of the pair. No.
Well, it was impertinent.
Yeah.
I had money. I needed iodine. It wasn't his business what I wanted to do with it. And I told him that.
Yes. In your inimitable fashion, you did.
I might have said, "That's an impertinent question. Are you going to give me the iodine or not?"
The wind wasn't blowing in that direction when the explosion happened. Oh, reminds me of the difference between a sea story and a fairy tale.
One, Once Upon a Time, and the other one is There No Shit There I Was.
Yeah. Speaking of which, interesting little piece of history to close out. Since this is January,
Holy crap, has been now.
the USS Topeka pulled off probably the greatest screw over of anybody in the Navy. In January the 1st, 2000, they, at all balls, midnight, on the 31st, on the 1st, in 2000, they parked across the international date line and across the equator. So they were simultaneously in 2 centuries, in 2 years, in 2 days, and in northern and southern hemisphere simultaneously.
And the eastern and western hemisphere.
Yes.
There you go.
And they got away with it.
That's what you can do when you got a big ass boat.
Yeah. And somebody not paying attention to their routing.
Doo-doo-doo.
Yeah. It's as we said in the Navy, it's always easier to ask forgiveness than it is permission. Unlike the Air Force, everything has to be written down. In the Navy, if it's not written down, you can do it.
Before
I
we
like
go,
that.
anything you want to
No, thanks for listening.
add?
Sorry for the delivery. I've had kind of a weird
It's okay.
voice thing going on.
It's okay.
Well, thank you all, and thank you for coming and joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for
And
Thanks for having me.
hopefully everybody is having a better 2022 than we did in 2021 at this point. And thanks to Jack Weiler for getting the
For getting Wendell here.
windows out. We do appreciate it. And remember, folks, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff.
Be safe, guys.
And we'll see you Thursday afternoon at 3.
RK says you did fine, Rita.
Okay, good.